Good evening, and welcome to Old South Church. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so glad you came out in the cold. Hopefully you'll find a bit of holiday warmth here in the sanctuary. That first piece, obviously the first Noel, we hope you enjoyed it. I am Peter Coulombe. I am the director of the Old South Ringers here at the Old South Church. We are the handbell choir that performs here in worship about once a month between September and June. And we are just so thrilled to be back again for this Christmas concert. It's become one of my favorite annual traditions, and we're so glad that you could join us here tonight. And a special welcome to any of you who are joining us online tonight. So all of you, believe it or not, are helping us share some joy with some folks who couldn't be here in person, but who are joining in by live stream. So a special welcome to those of you who are joining us via live stream this afternoon. We hope that while you're here with us, you will feel some uplifting in your heart, some joy in your soul, and some warmth in your bones. And we usually think of this holiday season as just one long thing, right? From Thanksgiving till New Year's, and then we take a deep breath, right? In the Christian church, in the Christian church, this is really part of three different seasons. We have the first season, which is Advent, which starts 4 weeks before Christmas. And that's really considered a season of preparation, a season of reflection, and even a season of longing for God's presence in our lives. Then we get to Christmas, and we all know about that. And that begins on Christmas Day, and in the Christian church continues for 12 days. And then we have the season called Epiphany, which starts on or about January 5th, and that coincides with the story of the arrival of the three wise men, or the Magi. Some people in some Spanish cultures call it Three Kings Day, but that was really the season where we enter into the light, the recognition of what this whole thing about Christmas can mean. It's a time of wonder, worship, gift-giving, and even humility. Well, we're going to be playing some Christmas songs and carols tonight from all three of those seasons, from all around the world. My job is to be a little bit of your tour guide while we're here, to give the ringers a little bit of time to get set up for each number behind me. So our next piece, it looks like they're ready without any further ado. Our next piece is a traditional Advent hymn, that is based on a very old French carol dating back to at least the 1600s, okay? The minor key of this piece is in a minor key, evokes that sense of reflection and the longing that I talked about earlier. So we hope you enjoy our next number, Meditation on Picardy. Thank you very much. So I'd love to ask, do we have any first-timers at this concert here tonight? Don't be shy, raise your hand really high. Oh my gosh, look at all of you. This is amazing, wonderful. Do we have anyone here who's at a handbell concert for the very first time tonight? Oh my God, that's so many of you. All right, okay. So this is one of my favorite parts of the concert. So if you've heard me say this before, bear with, but I'd love for you to appreciate a little bit about what's actually happening up there to make this music. So each bell that we play is tuned to one specific note, just like the piano keys on a piano. The keys on a piano, each you hit one key, it's always going to be the same note. Same with the handbells. Our bells range from the low C, which if you know your music, this C is 2 ledger lines below the bass clef, so it's a C. And Matt down here in the bass is going to demonstrate our C3. Pretty low, pretty low. And that bell weighs in at 8 pounds, 4 ounces, and it's 11 inches in diameter there. He gets a workout every one of our rehearsals, I tell you that. No cardio needed for Matt. At the opposite end of the arena, we have our high D8, which is the D with like 75 ledger lines above the treble clef. Donna here is going to ring that mere 8 ounces, less than 2 inches in diameter. So each octave has 12 bells associated with it. We play on 5 octaves of bells, and we have a few extras. So we've actually got at least 63 bells out on the table, but we also have things called hand chimes. And the hand chimes are, you see some of them on the big rack over in the corner. Our hand chimes, we actually have 6 octaves of hand chimes. Our lowest one is an octave below the bell that you heard. Matt, would you just demonstrate our C2? Do it again. I don't think you almost feel it more than you can hear it. It's very subtle, just a little rumble down there. And at the opposite end, we have the C8 hand chime. It's a little harsh by itself, but trust me, when we play it in music, it'll sound a little better. Thank you. That range, that 6-octave range, is just shy of the full range of a piano. It's about the same range as a concert harp. And in each piece that we play, our ringers are responsible for multiple bells. They can have as few as 2 bells, and if they've got it that easy, I'll probably find something to make it more hard for them. But some of our ringers are juggling 10 or even more bells and chimes in one piece. So to just give you a sense of appreciation, some of our folks have a whole lot to keep track of in the piece. All right, so a little bit about how the bells work. Our next piece is not often heard here in the US, but it's actually one of the most famous Spanish carols, and it's been translated into more than 100 different languages. The song, and I'm going to do a little show and tell with you here, the song comes from the Andalusian province of Spain. Now, I had to look this up because my geography is very poor. So Andalusian province in Spain, if you can see on the map here, is this province way at the bottom, right closest to where the tip of Africa comes up, where they almost kiss and form the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea. So this is the area where this tune originated. And if you're not familiar with the lyrics, I'll just tell you the gist of it, which is in the song, heavenly angels are ringing bells over the town of Bethlehem. And as part of what they're doing, they're inviting the shepherds to come and see the Christ child in the manger. So in this piece, you will hear some of what should sound like heavenly bells, and then you'll get quite a Spanish flavor. I hope you enjoy Campana Sobre Campana. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, it's almost hard to believe that we have been doing this for 16 years now, which is wonderful. My cummerbund fit a little better when we started doing this. COVID has not been kind to my tuxedo, I'll just be a little honest. But you know, handbell ringing here in America goes way back. In fact, it all started 99 years ago. Almost, next year it'll be 100 years ago. Handbell ringing started here in America, right here in Boston. Boston started it all. A woman who lived on Beacon Hill, her name was Margaret Shercliffe. Margaret brought the first set of handbells back from England, and she taught her children and her friends to play, and they would regularly get together and play Christmas carols for their friends. So we are continuing a tradition here in Boston that goes back almost 100 years. So I will just give you a little teaser to keep your eye out. Coming up in May of next year, May of 2023, May 16th, the third Tuesday in May, come back for a very special concert of 5 different handbell choirs. The Old South Ringers will be one of them, performing a special celebratory concert to celebrate 100 years of handbell ringing in Boston. But you know, as far as musical instruments go, handbells are really kind of young. A lot of our musical instruments are much, much older than handbells. And as a relatively newer medium, we're also very lucky to be living in an era when we have so many young and new composers who are writing for this very unique instrument. And unlike the traditional Western canon of mostly white European men, we are lucky to have so many great female composers, young composers, composers of color. The composer of this next piece is one of those. Marquise Usher, an African-American, composed this next piece. He's also one of the newer, younger composers out there. The piece that he arranged for us, "O Come Little Children," actually originated as a German poem written by a Catholic priest in 1798. And it was later set to a secular song that was composed around the same time. And the lyrics to the carol describe the scene at the manger. Thank you, thank you. Wasn't that beautiful? It's an unfamiliar carol, but it's become one of my favorites of the concert. Um, so I'm looking around, and unless I'm looking in the mirror, I'm not seeing a whole lot of gray hair. So I'm going to ask, and if you don't want to raise your hand, but are any of you old enough to remember the Andre champagne commercials of the 1970s? Anyone else? I remember them, you know, the horse-drawn sleigh going through the snow fields, and you heard dun 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 dun. Well, that was the Ukrainian bell carol, of course, that they were singing. Little trivia for those of you who like trivia. Does anyone know the name of the group who was singing that music? All right, well, save this for your next bout on Jeopardy. It was called the Swingle Singers, and they were a French a cappella group. So, a little bit of trivia to impress your friends. All right, well, that was my earliest memory of hearing this piece, but the piece itself was actually composed around 1914 by a Ukrainian composer named Mykola Leontovich, and I apologize if I've mispronounced his name. Now, I love my show and tell, so in case you're not sure what Mykola looked like, I'm going to show you, rather dapper gentleman for sure, Mykola Leontovich. He's the one who composed the Ukrainian bell carol. Now, like you've started to hear, a lot of our Christmas carols actually didn't start out as religious songs at all. They were secular songs where people put Christian lyrics to it, and that was true of this song. Mykola composed this based on a Ukrainian folk song that was about the coming of the new year, and that folk song predated Christianity. So it was a song about blessings and prosperity for the new year that formed the basis. Well, of course, we think of it as a Christmas song, mostly because in 1936, a gentleman named Peter Waluski put English words to this Ukrainian carol, and the words he chose were the ones that we associate now with the song. Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away, and so on and so on. And at the end, you hear Merry, 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 Merry Christmas, right? And it's because of that that we think of this as a Christmas carol now. So just a tiny bit to help you appreciate the song. This music fits into the kind of music we call a round. A round is a song or a piece of music where you can have distinct melodic lines that can be played on top of one another, and they all complement each other or contrast each other. So the Ukrainian bell carol has 3 distinct melodic lines, and your challenge for your listening enjoyment is to see if you can pick out all 3 in the piece, okay? So without any further ado, the Ukrainian bell carol. Ah, well, it's time to actually leave the season of Christmas behind, but just for a little bit. We're going to jump ahead to that third season I talked about, the season of Epiphany, the arrival of the wise men. Wise men, magi, kings. The words have varied from story to story as to who these men were who followed a star and a prophecy to find the Holy Family in a lowly cattle stall. Now, some of you, maybe all of you know the song, the verse and the refrain, but just a quick reminder about the verses, which don't get as much play these days. The verses are intended to be sung by one each of the three kings. And they talk about the gifts that that king has brought. Each gift, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, has a special symbolic meaning, which is essentially forecasting or recognizing something special, such as divinity or royalty, or in the case of the myrrh, foreboding about death. This carol is actually the first on our program to come from America. We've been to England, Germany, France, the Ukraine, Spain. Well, here we are back home in America. We Three Kings was written by John Henry Hopkins Jr. in 1857. Now, Reverend Hopkins was an Episcopal priest, but also a former music teacher, and he wrote this for a Christmas pageant that was being performed at the General Theological Seminary in New York City. Now, unlike many of the carols that we've been playing tonight and that we know, John Henry Hopkins actually composed both the words and the music to this carol, which is actually a little unusual. And historians credit We Three Kings as being the first Christmas carol originating from the US that achieved widespread popularity around the world, not just here at home, but around the world. We hope you enjoy this arrangement of We Three Kings. Well, thank you. So following the concert tonight, if you'd like to come up and get a closer look at the bells, maybe even try your hand at ringing one, please feel free. If you want to, I invite you to come up the side aisles and come around behind the tables. The ringers will be happy to show you a close hand tour of the bells. Um, and if you're inspired by tonight's concert to want to do this a little more regularly and join us with all the fun we have, we'll be resuming our regular Tuesday night rehearsals right after the new year, and no experience is required. We will teach you how to do this. Oh, goodness. So, all right. Well, Sing We Now of Christmas. Our next selection is actually French in origin, and this is the oldest song or oldest carol on our program tonight. This one dates back to the late 1400s or early 1500s. And there is some debate about whether the French song was considered a Christmas song or a New Year's song, but the English translations of the song have made it become clearly a Christmas song to us. So one thing to appreciate about this piece is the unusual key that it's in. Most music that we play is based on a major scale. And I'm just going to have the choir play a major scale so you can get a just feel for what it's like. So starting with Lisa here with the C, can we just go on up the scale? C, D, E natural, F, G, A, B. Very pleasant, right? Well, some of our music, like what you just heard, We Three Kings, is in a minor key, We're going to play a minor scale so you can hear the difference. E flat, A flat, B flat. Here we go. It's very different, right? Well, our next piece is in a very special minor key where one of those notes you just heard is going to be changed. I'm not going to tell you which one. And it's called a Dorian mode. This is a Dorian mode scale. We're going to go up the scale. Somewhere in between the major and the minor, right? Well, we hope you enjoy this version of Sing We Now of Christmas. Oh, wasn't that fun? Oh, and quite medieval in flavor, right? The Dorian mode that I was talking about is actually very common for medieval music. So if any of you are early music fans, you can put a name to that mode. All right. Well, I hope you are enjoying this concert so far. We could not do this without your help and support. We're able to offer this concert tonight thanks to the amazing generosity of those who've been in these pews in the past, in prior years, and who've made a contribution to help sustain this. We know this is a free concert. We want to keep them free so everyone can welcome the Spirit in and to attend without worry for a ticket price. But if you do feel so moved to help keep these concerts going, to have us back here again next year, I hope you'll consider whether you might be able to make a small contribution. If you're inclined to leave a cash donation, our ushers will be grateful and appreciate that on your way out. You can leave that with them. If you're more of an Apple Pay or PayPal kind of person, actually on the back of your program there is a QR code that you can make a secure online donation if you prefer. You don't have to do it here if you prefer to do that from home. And if you're joining us online, whether tonight or seeing this as a recording, you'll find a link to our secure online donations in the video description for tonight's concert. Thank you all in advance if you're able to, and if you're not, just your presence here is a true gift to us, and we thank you for being here. Our next selection takes us away from the mangers of the past and into the present with "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year." This arrangement might not be exactly how Andy Williams sang it on his recording, but I think you'll get the feel of the song. I can't thank you enough for being here tonight. We've been rehearsing this music since September, looking forward to doing this for you tonight. So having you here is such a special treat for us. We are so grateful. We hope that you'll leave here. May your holidays be merry and bright when you do. May your candles be lit with love and peace. May the joy and wonder and spirit of goodness fill all your days ahead. And we hope we'll see you back here again next year. So please stay in touch. We can't say it more, but to say we wish you a Merry Christmas. And since it's so hard to say, let's play it for you instead. We wish you.
Before we ring, we, on behalf of the Ringers, wanted to give a special thank you to our director, Peter. None of this would be possible without him selecting all of our music and working tirelessly with us to make sure it sounds lovely for all of you to enjoy. So on behalf of all of us, we just want to say a special thank you to Peter.